Render settings are what you're going to be tweaking and modifying when you're finally ready to get your footage out of After Effects into another format, say a QuickTime movie or say a Flash file. So what we have to do is we have to go to the composition menu here, and then you'll have to send your file to the render queue. But to do that, we have to click on something. So I'm going to click on this comp here, go back to composition, and you notice that it's ready to go now. So if you don't see this option available, just click on a comp and then it will be ready for you to click on. So I'll go to composition, add to render queue. You'll notice that your timeline kind of disappears and you have this new window next to it, the render queue. Let me go ahead and move this up. The render queue can have multiple copies of the same exact file in it, and you can give each one different settings, which is really, really handy. So you don't have to worry about doing anything but setting up all of the files, then go out to dinner, and then After Effects will render one after the other after the other. Let me give you an example. I still have this Everest 2 selected. I'll go to Composition, Add to Render Queue. So I have one version and I have two versions, and I can go ahead and give them both completely different output options. So now that we know about that, let's talk about the render settings. And you see right here we have this render settings category in both of these. I'll go ahead and twirl one open, and you see right away that After Effects is going to choose things for you based on the best quality. So as you can see, the quality is set to best. The resolution is full, which means whatever size this is what you're going to get. The size is 640 by 480. And as you can see, it's going to use all the current settings for any effects we have applied and all the other options here as well. So if you have OpenGL or if you're using any pull downs or field renders, everything can be changed and modified. But once again, we're just looking at what After Effects has provided for us. The same is true for the second version. So now that we've seen what After Effects is going to do for us, let's click on where it says Best Settings right here, and it opens up a new dialog box. And this is where we go to modify what's in this field here. So as you can see, quality is set to best. Click on this little drop down. We can make it draft. A draft is really handy when you really don't need full quality, but you want to look at it, analyze it, see if your timing is right, see if the effects are looking all right, but you don't want to have to wait for a very long time for the footage to render. You also have the option to choose wireframe. Typically I go with best. Resolution, full, which once again means whatever size your comp is, but I can drop this down to half, for example, and you see in parentheses the new size that we'll get when we render. I'll put it back on full. We also have the ability to use the OpenGL renderer if you have that available on your system. If you have any effects, we can turn all of them on or off. We can also do the same thing with solo switches, all off or on. We can change our color depth, 8 bits per channel, all the way to 32 bits per channel. We can also use the frame rate here to use the current frame rate, or we can add our own frame rate here. This is kind of handy when you want to put this online and you don't want 30 frames per second, but you want 15 or something like that instead. So you can drop that down. It's up to you. I'll go ahead and put this back on the original. We can also put motion blur on or off. So once again, you can really modify the quality you're going to get for this render. You can also choose to use the field rendering, upper field first or lower field first. The time span, which means the entire comp or the work area only. We can choose our start and end time here, so we can go ahead and click custom and choose where the render should start and end, and this will give us our duration. And once we're ready to go, we simply hit OK. All of these fields will update, and then you'll be ready to go to the next step, which is to choose a module so that we can choose how to render this.